India-China border dispute. India and China disagree on where parts of their border should be, especially in the Himalayas. Because both countries use different maps, soldiers from each side sometimes end up claiming the same territory. In recent years, tensions have occasionally turned into military standoffs, drawing global attention. What makes this dispute important is that it involves two of the world's most powerful countries. Any escalation would affect far more than the mountains where the conflict takes place, which is why the border remains one of Asia's most closely watched flashpoints. Both countries continue building roads, bases, and infrastructure near the border, showing that neither side expects the issue to disappear anytime soon. Korean Demilitarized Zone. The border between North Korea and South Korea was created after the Korean War ended in 1953. Technically, the war never officially ended with a peace treaty, meaning the two countries are still separated by one of the most heavily guarded borders on Earth. The border cuts straight across the Korean peninsula and has become a symbol of division. Thousands of soldiers, fences, and surveillance systems line both sides of the DMZ. While major fighting has not resumed, decades of political tension ensure that this border remains one of the most sensitive in the world. Missile tests, military exercises, and diplomatic disputes regularly remind everyone that the conflict is still unresolved. Armenia-Azerbaijan border conflict. The border between Armenia and Azerbaijan has been disputed for decades, largely because both countries claim areas they consider historically important. After the collapse of the Soviet Union, tensions grew into open conflict and multiple wars followed. Even today, some sections of the border remain heavily militarized. Unlike many disputes that stay political, this one has repeatedly turned into real fighting. Entire communities have been affected by the conflict, and periods of peace are often fragile. Although agreements have been reached at different times, long-term stability remains uncertain. Kosovo-Serbia dispute. Kosovo declared independence from Serbia in 2008 and is recognized by many countries around the world. Serbia, however, does not recognize Kosovo as an independent state and continues to view it as part of its territory. Because of that, the border remains politically sensitive. The dispute is less about geography and more about recognition and sovereignty. Tensions occasionally rise over border crossings, local governance, and political decisions. International organizations have spent years trying to improve relations, but the disagreement remains unresolved. Guyana-Venezuela border dispute. Guyana and Venezuela both claim a large region known as Essequibo. The dispute dates back more than a century and involves a territory that makes up a significant portion of Guyana's land area. For many years, the disagreement attracted relatively little attention outside the region. That changed when major oil discoveries were made nearby. Suddenly, a long-running border dispute became much more important on the global stage. The territory itself may appear remote, but the resources connected to it have increased the stakes dramatically. Morocco-Western Sahara conflict. Western Sahara is one of the longest-running territorial disputes in the world. Morocco controls most of the territory and considers it part of the country, while the Polisario Front seeks independence for the region. As a result, the status of Western Sahara remains heavily contested. A massive defensive barrier stretches across the desert and physically divides large parts of the territory. Israel-Lebanon border tensions. The border between Israel and Lebanon has experienced tension for decades. Military forces, surveillance systems, and fortified positions are common throughout the area. The region has seen periods of conflict, as well as periods of uneasy calm. What makes this border especially important is its location in an already unstable region. Even small incidents can quickly attract international attention and raise concerns about wider escalation. Because of that, the border remains under constant observation. Sudan, South Sudan Abyei region. When South Sudan became independent in 2011, not every border issue was resolved. One of the biggest disagreements involved a region called Abyei, which both Sudan and South Sudan consider important. Questions about ownership and administration remain unanswered. The area contains valuable resources and sits in a strategically important location. International peacekeepers have been deployed to help maintain stability, but a permanent solution has yet to be reached. More than a decade later, Abyei remains one of Africa's most notable unresolved border disputes. Russia-Japan Kuril Islands dispute. The Kuril Islands are a chain of islands stretching between Russia and Japan. Russia currently controls them, while Japan continues to claim several of the southern islands. The disagreement dates back to the final days of World War II. Although the islands are relatively remote, they influence maritime boundaries, fishing rights, and regional security. The dispute has lasted for decades without a final settlement. Even today, it remains one of the most enduring territorial disagreements in the world.